Hello everyone, welcome you all to the microcontroller class. Today we will be having session 3 of unit 1 8051 architecture, and the content of today's session is 8051 architecture, that is the block diagram of 8051 microcontroller. So the architecture of 8051, it consists of the following important functional blocks. So the block diagram, it is having main sub blocks. So these are the different sub blocks it uses. Central processing unit, that is nothing but the CPU, internal memory, special function registers, we call it as SFRs, timers or counters, serial ports, interrupt control, IO ports, oscillator and clock. These are the major sub blocks which are present in 8051 architecture. So this is the block diagram of 8051 microcontroller. So here we can observe that it contains various sub-blocks like timer 0 and timer 1, counter inputs for these two timers, on-chip RAM is there, random access memory, on-chip ROM, read-only memory to store the code, and this is to store the data. RAM is used to store the data, whereas ROM is used to store the code. And then we are having interrupt control. So the actual interrupts will be given here. And this is the central processing unit. All the processing has been done here. That is the CPU, central processing unit of the microcontroller, which is synchronized with the clock signal. So that is nothing but the oscillator. So to the oscillator we have connected a crystal. This crystal will going to generate the clock signal, and all the operations of the CPU will be synchronized with the crystal oscillations. That is nothing but the timing. And bus control is there. IO ports, totally 4 IO ports are there, P0, P1, P2 and P3. In the previous class we come to know that each port is having 8 number of pins or 8 number of lines we call, whereas port 0 and port 1 can be used for address or for the data operation. We can send either address or data in port 0 and port 1, whereas P2 and P3 is having some other function. It can be used as a general purpose IO, or the port 3 is having some other function that we shall discuss again. And the serial port is there. So this is for the serial transmission of the data. TXD for the transmission of the data, and RXD is for the reception of the data. And this is the bus, communication bus we are having. So this arrow mark indicates how the data is moving. So from the ROM, the data is moving like this. That is, the instructions can be fetched by the CPU. So this is like this. Whereas RAM is a bidirectional. So either we can store the data into the RAM because of this arrow mark. Otherwise, we can take the data from the RAM like this. So this is how bidirectional and unidirectional buses are there. So this is how the CPU can interact with all of the blocks which are present over here. Now we shall see the function of each block one by one. First we shall see the central processing unit. So this is the CPU of the microcontroller. So what the CPU function is having? The CPU of 8051 does arithmetic operations and logical operations. So CPU ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, arithmetic operations ಮತ್ತೆ logical operations ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. What do you mean by arithmetic operation? So that is nothing but the mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. All these are called as arithmetic operations, whereas the logical operations are AND operation, OR operation, complement operation, rotate, shift. All these are called as logical operations. So these arithmetic and logical operations are performed by the CPU. And internally, the CPU consists of arithmetic and logic unit. This arithmetic and logic unit particularly perform the arithmetic operations as well as the logical operations. And the CPU can perform bitwise and bytewise manipulation. Either it can do the processing of the data either bitwise or bytewise. Bitwise means by taking each bit, one bit after the another. Bytewise means by taking entire one byte. One byte is nothing but the 8 bit of data. If it performs all the operations by taking 8 bit, then it is called as bitewise operation. If the operation is done for every bit, then it is called as bitwise operation. So this is how it is going to perform the operation, bitwise operation or the bytewise operation. One byte is nothing but 8 bits. Next we will be having the internal memory. So these two are the internal memories we are having, on chip ROM and on chip RAM having. The internal memory stores the programs, data, calculations and results. This is the function of the internal memory. Either we can able to store the program, especially in ROM memory, and the data, calculations, results. We can store these in the RAM memory. And if you want, you can store this back into the ROM memory also. So the 8051 has two types of internal memory. What are the two types of internal memory? One is the RAM memory, another one is the ROM memory. Random access memory, or it is also called as a data memory, and the size of the RAM is 128 bytes. 128 byte of RAM is there, that we have already discussed in the previous class. The RAM size is 128 bytes, and the ROM size, read-only memory, or it is also called as a program memory. RAM is called as data memory, whereas the ROM is called as program memory. Size of RAM is 128 bytes. Similarly, size of ROM is 4 kilobytes. 4 kilobytes means 4 into 10 to the power of 3. It is actually 4096. 4096 bytes will be there. And what is the range of this in the memory? So the range of this will be from 00 to 7FH. So 00 to 7FH is the range. So if I convert 7F into, this is in the hexadecimal, H stands for hexadecimal here, and if I convert 7F into decimal, so you are going to get total of 0 to 7F means it is nothing but 128 bytes. So how we can do this conversion? We know the conversion from hexadecimal to decimal, that is nothing but 7 we write 7 multiplied by 16 power 1, 7 into 16 power 1 plus this f into 16 power 0, 16 power 0 it is, 16 power 0. So we know that this is nothing but this value. 7 into 16 into 7 is 112, 112 plus 16 power 0, this value goes to 1, this value becomes 1, 16 power 0 is 1, 1 into f is nothing but 15, 15 into 1 is 15. So if I add these two, it becomes 112 plus 15, it is nothing but 127, 127. So the value of 7F is what? The value of 7F is nothing but 127 here. This is what the answer we are going to get. Now 0 to 127, total it is 128. 0, it starts from 0 here, 00H. 00H, if you convert it to decimal, again it becomes 00 in decimal. 00 in decimal, 0 to 127. So totally how many are there? 0 to 127 means the total range will be 128 bytes. So this is nothing but 128. 128 it is. 128. So this is how we are going to do the conversion. So totally 128 bytes of RAM memory is there. Similarly, read-only memory is there. It ranges from 00 to 0FFF. So this 0FFF, if you convert again, now the range, this equivalent value will be equal to 4095. We can do the conversion similarly. Otherwise, we can take the help of the calculator and we can do. So this is nothing but 4095. So 00 to 4095. The total range will be from 00 to 4095. It will be equal to 4096. That is nothing but 4 kilobytes. 4 kilobytes means 4096 bytes will be there. And the 8051 has a separate address space for data as well as for the program. So separate memory is there to store the address as well as to store the this one program. Address is there for to store the data as well as for the program. It indicates that data memory as well as the program memory are different. It means that it uses the Harvard architecture. In the previous class, we have studied the Princeton architecture as well as the Harvard architecture. So the Princeton architecture is also called as von Neumann architecture. So in the Princeton or the von Neumann architecture, both data memory and program memory are the same. It is combined together. In the same memory, we are going to use the program as well as the data memory. Whereas in the Harvard architecture, the program memory and data memory is different. So here, the 8051 has separate address pair for data and program, means that data memory is different and the program memory is different. So that's why it uses the Harvard architecture. It uses Harvard architecture. And then we are having some of the special function registers. So the 8051 has several special function registers designated as register A, register B, DPTR, PSW, IP, IE, TCON, SCON, PCON, P0 to P3, SBuffer, etc. So these special function registers are having some function, some special functions will be there for these registers that again we shall discuss in the special function register separately. All these are byte addressable and some of them are bit addressable. All the registers are byte addressable. Byte addressable means each byte of particular register can be accessed. Means all the bytes, all the bits present in the particular register. For example, if I want to access all the bytes present in the PCON register. PCON is a 8-bit register. Now, for example, if I assume PCON is the 8-bit register, I can access all the bits at a time. Then it is called as byte addressable. All the 8 bits I can access. Out of 8 bits, suppose if I want to access only one particular bit, then it is called as bit addressable. So some of the registers are bit addressable here and some of the registers are byte addressable. And the SFRs can be accessed by their names or by their address ranging from 80 to FFH. We can access the content of these SFRs, special function registers, either by using their names. Names means these are the names: TCON, SCON, PCON, P0, AB, DPTR, all these are the names. ಈ ಹೆಸರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಬೈ ದೇರ್ addresses. What are the addresses? Address ranges from 80 to 7FH. Each register is having some particular address and that address value will be from 80 to 7FH. We shall discuss what are the address for particular registers again in the future classes. So I can access the content of this register by using these addresses or by using the names. These are useful in accessing the IO ports, timers, bar counters, serial ports, power controlling, etc. Why we have to use this can be used to access the IO ports. How to access the IO ports? We are having P0 to P3, port 0, port 1, port 2 and port 3. By using these register I can access the IO ports. IO ports are required whenever I want to interact, whenever the microcontroller want to interact with the external devices, peripheral devices we call. So the timers are the counters. We can access the timers or counters or the serial ports and power controlling. So in order to access these devices, we must use the special function registers. Some of the address from 80 to FFH are not defined for SFRs. We know that the address ranges from 80 to 7F for these SFRs, but in this range, some of the addresses are not defined again. Attempting to use such address may cause the unpredictable results. So for example, now let us assume that 8F is there. 8FH is not at all defined in the address. Now in the instruction, suppose if you are trying to access this particular address, then it causes unpredictable result. You are going to get some error because this address is not at all defined in the memory. So only these registers is having some address from 80 to FFH. So ಯಾವ address define ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನೇನಾದರೂ ನಾವು ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದರೆ then you are going to get some errors. Then we are having timers and counters. So 8051 has two 16-bit special function registers named T0 and T1 which can act as up counters. So remember, two special function registers are there, T0 and T1, T0 and T1. So these T stands for timers. So the size of each timer will be 16 bits special function register which can act as up counter. Up counter means it will start counting in the upward direction, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So 2 to the power, how many counts are possible? We know that 2 to the power of 16 counts are possible. Total number of counts will be 2 to the power of 16 if it is a 16-bit. For example, if I am having 2 bits, how many combinations are possible with the 2 bits? 0, 0 is the one combination, 0, 1 is the one combination, 1, 0 is the one combination and 1, 1 is the one combination. So totally it is nothing but 2 to the power of 2. 2 to the power of 2 combinations are possible. Instead of having 2 bits, if I have 3 bits, 2 to the power of 2 is nothing but 4 combinations. So we are having 4 combinations here, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Suppose instead of having 2 bits, if I have 3 bits, 3 bits idre enagutte? If I have 3 bits, then it is equal to 2 to the power of 3. 2 power 3 is nothing but 8 combinations are possible. Like that, here I am having 16 bits. So totally 2 to the power of 16 combinations are possible. So it will act like a up counter. Up counter means this is called as up counting. Initial value will be 0, then it becomes 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So if you are counting in this direction, then it is called as a up counter. So both the timers will act as up counters here. And each register may be performed to act as a timer to count the internal clock pulses or as a counter to count external pulses. So these two registers either can be used as a timers or can be used as the counters. So what is the difference between the timers and the counters then? Each register may be programmed to act as a timer to count the internal clock pulses. Suppose if the register counts the internal clock pulses, then it is called as a timer. Internal clock pulse means what? Suppose if you are having a microcontroller here. So this is our microcontroller. And here we are having the T0 and T1 register. Let us assume that this is the T0 register, or it may be T1, whatever it may be, T0 or T1. Now, this is our microcontroller. The outer box is the microcontroller. Here I am having some other clock generator is there, or I am going to write some software program. Now, suppose if the microcontroller starts counting the clock pulses generated by the internal device, then this is called as a timer. Now I will call this as a timer. The same register, either T0 or T1, I will be called as a timer now. Or as a counter to count the external clock pulses. Suppose if the timer register T0 or T1, it counts the clock pulses from the external device. Now I am having some external device. So this is the external device I am having. And if this register counts the clock pulses from this device, from this external device, if it starts counting the, now this is a pulse generator. Let us assume that this is a pulse generator. Now it will start counting. It will start counting from here. So now the same timer can be called as a counter now. So the same register can be used as a timer, or the same register can be used as a counter. So this is how we are going to use either timer or the counter. Either it can count from the internal clocks, or it can count the external clocks. So based on that, we are going to decide whether it acts as a timer or it acts as a counter. So if it counts the internal clock pulses, then it is called as a timer. If it counts the external clock pulses, then it is called as a counter. Timer or the counter. So this is how we are going to differentiate. Now, all the counters are divided into 8-bit registers called timer low and timer high. So we know that timer 0 and timer 1 are 16-bit size. So the size of this register will be 16 bits. So the total size will be 16 bits from here to here. It is 16-bit register. So the timers are divided into two 8-bit register. Now this timer can be divided into two 8-bit register. So this is one 8-bit and this is the another 8-bit. So this can be divided into two 8-bit registers. And this is called separately as TL0, TL1 or TH0 and TH1. It means that what? Suppose you are having timer 0. Timer 0 is a 16-bit register. It is a 16-bit register. Now this can be divided into two separate 8-bit register. So I will call this as timer high TH0, or I can call TH, sorry, this is not TH, this is nothing but TL, TL0, TH0 and TL0. Similarly, we are having timer 1. Again, this can be divided into two. One is called as TH, timer high 1, and I can call timer low 1. So the size of each will be 8-bit. This is 8-bit and this is 8-bit. How we have divided here. Here T1 is 16-bit. This can be divided into two separate 8-bit register, TH1 and TL1. And similarly, T0 is a 16-bit register which can be divided into two separate 8-bit register, TH0 and TL0. This is how we can able to do the division. Each of size 8-bit. This is timer high and this is timer low. This is how we can able to do the division. And all counter actions is controlled by bit status in the timer mode control register T mode, the timer counter control register TCON, and certain program instruction. So the operation of these timers will be controlled by the two particular register. One is called as T mode, that is nothing but the timer mode control register, and TCON, that is the timer control register. By using these registers, I can able to control the two timers when it has to start counting. What is the clock pulse, from where you are getting the clock pulse. All these can be controlled with the help of the bits present in the T mod as well as the bits present in the Tcon. ಇದೆರಡು ಈ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ನ ಸ್ಟೇಟಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಇದು ಟೈಮರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಟೈಮರ್ 0 ಮತ್ತು ಟೈಮರ್ 1 ನಾವು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸರ್ಟೈನ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್, ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಟು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ದ ಟೈಮರ್ 0 and timer 1. Then we have serial port. So 8051 communicates with the other devices by sending and receiving data bits serially using a serial data communication circuit. So to interact with the external devices, again the serial port is required. So either we can able to send the data or we can able to receive the data from the other devices. We can send the data from microcontroller to other devices, or we can receive the data from other devices to microcontroller. That is possible. And the register S buffer is used to hold the data and SCON controls the data communication. S buffer ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಇದೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಎ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್. ದಿಸ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ. ಯಾವ ಡೇಟಾ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಈ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ಡೇಟಾ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ ಅದು ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ಈ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅನದರ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ SCON. ಸೊ ಆ ಡೇಟಾನ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ದಟ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದ SCON ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೀರಿಯಲ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ register. This is for the serial communication to transfer the data serially. And the register PCON controls the data rates. ಎಷ್ಟು ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಸ್ಲೋ ಆಗಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ದ PCON register. PCON register is another control register which can be used to control the data rate. And pin RxD and TxD is used to receive and transmit the data respectively. ಎರಡು ಪಿನ್ಗಳಿದೆ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ಲಿ. ಒಂದು ಪಿನ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ RxD ಪಿನ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಟು ರಿಸೀವ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಟು ರಿಸೀವ್ ದ ಡೇಟಾ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ TxD, T stands for transmission of the data, XD means transmission, or D stands for data. This pin is used for the reception and this pin is used for the transmission. ಮೈಕ್ರೋಕಂಟ್ರೋಲಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪಿನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪಿನ್ನಿಂದ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಂಟರಪ್ಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್. Interrupt is a hardware signal activated by an IO devices to alert the CPU. So interrupt is a hardware signal activated by the IO devices. Now for example, microcontroller is executing some programs. Now some external device, keyboard, mouse or printer, whatever it may be, some external device want to interact with the microcontroller. Now it will going to raise one signal. I need a service from you. I want to interact with you. This is our microcontroller. Whereas this is the external device. So I will call this as external device. When this external device want to communicate with this one, it has to raise one signal that is called as interrupt. So this is the hardware signal activated by the IO devices to alert the CPU. And interrupts may be generated by the internal chip operations or provided by the external sources. So this interrupt either can be from the external source or the interrupt can be from the internal devices. ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರೋ ಡಿವೈಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇಂಟರಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಟೈಮರ್ 0 ಇದೆ, ಟೈಮರ್ 0 ಮೈಕ್ರೋಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್, ಇಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಸಮ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್, ದೆನ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ರೈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಸೊ ಟು ದ CPU. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್. CPUಗೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದನಾದ್ರು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಒಳಗಡೆಯಿಂದನಾದರೂ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್, ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಇಂಟರ್ನಲ್ ಸೈಡ್, ಸೊ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಸ್ internally generated interrupt, whereas this is externally generated interrupt. So the interrupts can be enabled or disabled under program control by altering the control bits in the interrupt enable register. So we can able to control these interrupts. Either we can able to enable the interrupts or we can able to disable the interrupts under the program control by alerting control bits in the interrupt register, interrupt enable register IE, or the interrupt priority register IP and the TCON. ಈ ಮೂರು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎನೇಬಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಂದರೆ ಇಂಟರಪ್ಟ್ ಬರಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬರದೇ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಪ್ರಿಯಾರಿಟಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. 3-4 ಇಂಟರಪ್ಟ್ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಮೊದಲೇ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಂಟರಪ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಯಾರಿಟಿ IP. And again we can able to control this by using the TCON register. So these are the control registers for the interrupts. And 8051 has 3 types of interrupts. One is called as internal interrupt, internally generated by the internally generated interrupts, and the external interrupt interrupt generated by the external devices, or the reset interrupt. Reset interrupt is called as a master interrupt. So we can observe this reset button in most of the devices. In our laptop or in our mobile phone, we will be having reset. So this is called as non-maskable interrupt, and it has to be given with the highest priority for the reset interrupt. So what are the three internal interrupts we are having? So internal interrupts are three types. So one is called as timer flag 0 interrupt, timer flag 1 interrupt, and serial port interrupt. So TF0. So this TF0 is for the timer 0 register, and TF1 is for the timer 1 register. This T stands for timer, F stands for flag. 1 is timer 1 and 0 is timer 0. So this is how we can able to decide. Whereas the serial interrupts, serial port interrupts are there, RI and TI. That is for the reception as well as for the transmission. Once the data is received or once the data is transmitted, interrupt will be raised. This is for the serial communication, SC, serial communication. We are going to use two interrupts. And again, there are two external interrupts are there. One is called as INT0 and INT1. External, so this is in the pin 3.2, whereas this is in the pin 3.3. So these two interrupts are generated by the external devices. So microcontroller is there and some external device is there. Now if this external device want to request this microcontroller, it has to raise some interrupt and it has to pass this signal. It has to send this signal to some particular pin, and this pin either can be 3.2, this particular pin can be 3.2, or this particular pin can be 3.3. If it is 3.2, it is interrupt 0, and if it is P3.3 pin, then it is called as interrupt 1. So this is how the interrupt can be raised by the external signal. And reset, whenever a high level is applied to the reset pin, 8051 enters a reset condition. Whenever a high level is applied to the reset pin, so one pin is there, that is called as a reset pin, RST pin we call. So I think it is pin number 9. Pin number 9 of the 8051 is reset pin. So we shall discuss again in the pin diagram. Now when the high signal is applied to this pin number 9, then the microcontroller gets resets. Microcontroller gets resets means ಏನೇನು ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ 00H. ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರೀಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್. ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಮೊಬೈಲಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಬಟನ್ ಒತ್ತಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರೀಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ. ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಅಕ್ಕರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ microcontroller 8051 when the reset is raised. And then comes the IO ports. There are 4 IO ports, P0 to P3 of 8 lines or pins each. So totally how many ports are there? P0, P1, P2, P3. Totally 4 IO ports are there from P0 to P3. And each port is having 8 lines or 8 pins. 8 pins are there. So it is nothing but 4 into 8. So totally how many IO pins are there? Totally 32 IO pins are there. And some of these ports can be configured as input port or the output port. Either I can configure this as for the input operation or for the output operation. And then in addition, port 3 can perform certain specific function. It is having some other functions, some other operation it is having, that we shall discuss again. Special port 3. Port 3 is having some special functions. And special circuits like latch, buffer and driver are included in these. So these are the special circuits. Latch is there, buffer is there, and drivers are there in these particular pins. Then we are having oscillator and the clock. In order to synchronize all the internal operations of the microcontroller, on-chip oscillator is used. I told you already, whenever the microcontroller want to execute the instructions, its operation should be synchronized with the clock signal. ಎಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಲಿಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ಸ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ ಕ್ವಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಲ್ನ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ಗೆ. ಅದೇನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ನ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಲೋ ಹೈ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಜನರೇಟೆಡ್. And all the operations are synchronized with the clock signal. This is called as one time period. Capital T we call from here to here. One time period. So if I take from here to here, then it becomes 2 time period. Or it can be 3 time period. From here to here, it is 3 time period. And all the operations are synchronized with this clock. A quartz crystal is connected for this purpose by using the terminals XTAL1 and XTAL2. These are the two pins which are there in the microcontroller where we are going to connect the external crystal we are going to connect, and this crystal will going to generate quartz crystal will going to generate this type of clock signal. Different versions of 8051 operate over different frequencies ranging from 1 megahertz to 16 megahertz. So the range of this crystal varies from which is required for 8051 operation. It varies from 1 megahertz to 16 megahertz. That is the frequency. So how to calculate this frequency now? F is equal to, you know the formula, F is equal to 1 divided by T. You know this T, that is the time period of the clock signal. If I take its inverse, then it becomes the frequency of this clock. Coming to the summary, in this session, we have learned the 8051 architecture. This is the end of the session. Thank you.